boys and girls, and welcome to my channel. I am Miss Kim, and today I want to share with you a charming, magical story about two sibling elves. Yes, that's right, siblings, brother and sister, Eddie and Faye. They are complaining about how dirty they are, that they don't have enough money, they work too hard, they're tired. Well, one day they happen upon a magical carving knife. What do you think they do with this carving knife? Well, let's begin this story and see just what Eddie and Faye do. In The Wish Carvers by Kathleen Gower, illustrated by Sari Richter. Look at that beautiful cover. Wait till you see these pictures. This story begins day after day, week after week, month after month. Faye and her brother Eddie carved and painted. They sold their carvings at the village market every Saturday. The two earned enough to buy food to eat, clothes to wear, and more paint for their carvings. But sometimes all that work was exhausting. Every day they complained about the same things. "My hands are so sore from all this carving," Faye grumbled. "I wish I could take a long rest." "All my clothes are covered in paint," Eddie whined. "I wish I had something nicer to wear." They don't sound very happy, do they? One Saturday afternoon, while strolling home from the market, Faye and Eddie discovered an old carving knife by the side of the road. When they brought it back to the cabin, they spotted some words carved on the handle. Faye read them out loud. "What's carved with me will come to be." "Do you suppose that's true?" Eddie asked. "Let's find out," Faye said. She carved a miniature wooden pot of gold. Eddie painted it, and they waited. Nothing happened. Well, let's continue and see what happens. Then Eddie read the words on the knife out loud. "What's carved with me will come to be." Ever so slowly, the wooden pot of gold turned into a real, full-size pot of gold. "It worked!" Faye shouted. "We can carve anything we wish for." "Woohoo!" Eddie exclaimed. "Let's try something bigger." Oh no, what do you think they do next? That's an awfully big pot of gold, isn't it? Faye scratched her head. I know. I'll carve us living in a large stone cottage. Then you can paint it." As Faye carved away, Eddie painted. They chanted, "What's carved with me will come to be." By sundown, they had crafted their cottage. It was so perfect. Faye was positive she saw a light flicker in one of the windows. She quickly set the carving by their bedroom door and hopped into bed. The next morning. What do you think happened the next morning? Well, let's turn the page and see. Faye and Eddie awoke to find themselves inside a huge stone cottage. "Yippee!" Eddie squealed. "The magic worked!" Whoa, look at how big their cottage is. Nice fireplace. Look at that. But when Fay and Eddie crawled out of bed, they discovered their pot of gold had disappeared. And there was more work to do than ever. There was more house to be cleaned, more garden to tend, and more firewood to be chopped. Soon, Fay's hands were sorer than ever, and Eddie's clothes were dirtier than ever. What do you think? This place is much too big, Eddie moaned. How can we ever keep up with all this work? Fay said, I know. I'll carve us living as king and queen in a lovely fairy tale castle with castle helpers to do all this extra work for us. Good idea, Eddie said. At least we won't have to work so hard. Again, Fay carved away, Eddie painted, and together they chanted, What's carved with me will come to be. But by day's end, they had created their castle. It was so realistic. Fay was convinced she saw one of its towers sparkle. She stood the carving up against their bedroom door and climbed into bed. Just before sunrise, clatter, clatter, swish, swish, chop, chop. Fay and Eddie awoke to find themselves into a giant fairy tale castle with many castle helpers cleaning, gardening, and chopping firewood. Sounds like our castle helpers are already busy, Fay said. I guess we'd better get to work too, Eddie sighed. Whoa, look at how big it is. That's their garden. This is their castle. Look at Eddie and Fay, king and queen of their castle. Fay and Eddie were barely out of bed and dressed when tourists started lining up to tour their beautiful castle. My gracious, look at all of that. How will we ever cope with all these people? Eddie asked. We're used to such a peaceful life. And now we'll have no time to carve and paint, Fay grumbled. And then, boys and girls, what do you think they decide? Well, let's see just what happens next. Chatter, chatter, squish, squish, slop, slop. Tourists began to pour in by the hundreds. Muddy footprints covered the floors. Pictures were knocked off the walls. And when the tourists left, they left all their trash behind. This castle is a royal mess, Fay groaned. Now even our castle helpers are exhausted and grumbling about all the hard work. I wish we still lived in our tiny log cabin, Eddie whined. Fay said, I have an idea. One more time, Fay carved away, Eddie painted, and together they chanted, What's carved with me will come to be. That evening, Fay placed the freshly painted log cabin by their bedroom door. Then she tossed the magic knife out the window and slid into bed. Early the next morning, Fay and Eddie awoke to find themselves back inside their tiny log cabin. Fortunately, they still had the money From selling their carvings at the village market, it was enough to buy food to eat, clothes to wear, and more paint for their carvings. They look pretty happy there, don't they? They have returned to their peaceful way of life. I can't wait to get back to work, Faye said. She reached for their trusty old carving knife. Eddie pulled on his comfy old painting clothes. I can't wait to get started. Then he scurried off to fetch his brushes and paint. They look pretty happy there, don't they? Oh, and look at there. Even the frogs are happy. Boys and girls, I'm so glad you joined me for this lovely story. So there was a good lesson in this story, wasn't there? Yes. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, is it? Faye and Eddie thought that if they had bigger and better things and a house, more money, that they wouldn't have to work as hard. But what happened? That's right. They had to work harder and they were more dirty. So boys and girls, think about this story, huh? And I want you to think about a positive thing in your life and be grateful for it and enjoy the life that you are living. Just like Faye and Eddie found out that their life was better and they wanted their peaceful way of living back, didn't they? Boys and girls, I wish you a very happy day. And remember, a good book and your imagination will take you anywhere. Until next time, bye.